October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In conjunction with this month, I will be sharing key takeaways from each chapter of this book. Why does he do that? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men, written by Lundy Bancroft. Lundy Bancroft is an American author, counselor, and expert on domestic violence and abusive men. He has over 30 years experience working with abusive men and their partners. If you've ever wondered why he acts that way, how abuse really works, and most importantly, what healing actually looks like, then this series could be for you. Follow along as I unpack chapter after chapter of this book, Why Does He Do That? And key takeaways. I want to start with the introduction. And there's so many points here that actually jumped out at me. But the key thing I want to emphasize is that he says here, the real issue with how abusers operate is not in the way that they feel. Because a lot of us, we think that, an abusive man just have anger issues. And that's why Lundy actually talks about how anger management programs actually do not work for domestic violence abusers. Abusive men and non-abusive men actually feel the same feelings, but the key issue here is how they think. It is a mentality problem and what they do between explosions. And another point here is that it says there is nothing an abuse victim, abused woman can do to actually create lasting change in him. There are 5 points here that he wants to let the abused woman know, and that is to find your way from confusion to clarity. There are 5 things. Number 1, you didn't make him this way. It is not your fault. It's basically a script or an operating system in the way that he thinks, and he is just following that script. You did not cause this. You did not make him, whatever he tells you, you did not make him do certain things or say certain things. So his behavior is 100% on him. Number 2, to get from confusion to clarity is you cannot manage him. There will be people around you who tell you, maybe friends, who say, why don't you stand up more for yourself? And then you have some people who tell you the opposite. Why do you set him off this way? Try to just shrink and just keep quiet and you are as toxic as he is. No. You cannot manage him because oftentimes if you stand up, it actually increases the severity of the abuse. And if you do the opposite, which is to keep quiet and hold your tongue and swallow all the abuse, it is toxic for your soul. Number 3, yes, it really is that bad. Now, this is something that I have personally encountered with friends who are victims of domestic violence. And one thing that I've noticed is when they tell me about their partner and all the things that he does, invariably, they will also say, and then they'll start to list off the so-called good things that he does. Now, whatever good things that he does not make up for the abuse that he actually carries out on a regular basis. So when someone you love is chronically mean and puts you down and tries to control you, it's like literally they are deciding consciously to do that. Okay, so it really is that bad. Do not dismiss and minimize your own experience. Don't doubt your reality. Number 4, you can't help him change. An abusive man can never change by being cajoled into going into counseling or begged to look after himself. It says here, and this is based off of Lundy's over 30 years of experience working with thousands of abusive men, they can't change. Number 1, their partner cannot make them change. The only thing that has worked is if there is enforcement by a very tough legal system. Okay, so that is either that he is convicted or that he is forced to do a very, very high quality abuser program, and unfortunately there's not many of those out there. Only if that's the case, then perhaps he may make some minor changes, but other than that, you cannot change him. Number 5, isolation is your enemy and connection is your friend. So this last point is about what you can do, which is never give up on trying to find ways to have human contact, because the more isolated you are, the more his lies seem believable, the more your reality is distorted. So these are the 5 points. There is something he says here in his introduction about a fad of referring to abusive men as narcissists. Now, this is one thing that I do disagree with Lundy Bancroft on, and I actually take the view of Dr. Ramani, who is the leading expert on narcissistic abuse. She says that not all narcissists are abusive or abusers. However, all abusers or domestic violence abusers coercive control perpetrators are narcissistic. So this is my personal point of view. And finally, he makes a point that the huge steps in intimate partner abuse that's happened in the past decades is due to an organized movement. So it's not just by magically having this great awakening, although that may also help. But my take is that it requires unified action from people who think alike. And that can be in the form of marches, videos, leaflets, raising awareness of any kind of podcasts, videos like this, books like these, and everyday women and male allies taking a stand. If we want to see real social change, first of all, we have to be brave enough to talk about the issue, and then we can actually take action towards educating boys respectful behavior so that they don't grow up with an entitled mentality, thinking that, as a man, as a boy, they are entitled to certain services and comforts that are provided for by women, and that they have the privilege and the ability to enforce these on the women in their lives. So follow along as I read this book and share key takeaways in conjunction with October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.